if somebody's shaming you and telling you to like shut that up and get a handle on it, I don't think they have your best interests at heart. I think they have their best interests at heart, and their best interests are you don't make them deal with anything. And part of humanity is dealing with each other, right? That's community. That's love. That's relationship. Hey friends, sup? Welcome back to the Neurodivergent Creative, where we're hearing from me, Caitlin, a neurodivergent creative. I don't own the claim to be the neurodivergent creative, but perhaps the things I talk about on my show represent a little bit of all of us, because our brains are a little bit spicy, and that's okay. As my jingle says, it's our spicy brains unpacking all the shame. So today we're going to talk about shame and triggers and how being in a safe and healthy environment can help you move on from those triggers. I believe I may have told this story before, but who cares? We're here. It's today. You don't remember what we talked about 6 months ago, so I can just tell you a little story about fairly early on in living with my housemates. One of my roommates erected a tent in the living room that had like a barrier, like a room separator flap in the center, right? So it's one tent, but it has two individual sections. And we put our two cats in either section to see if we could help them get along and sniff each other without being able to make physical contact. Because these cats were not doing their best. Just kidding, it was Empress's fault. She is beautiful, and she is an asshole. And she did not like Brunhild. Empress likes to be an only cat, and I get that. She's not an only cat, though. So we tried our hardest. We tried government-mandated cuddle time, which is where my roommate would bring Brunhild into the room in like a very secure, enormous hoodie pouch, right? And just sort of like hold her while Empress was nearby to like get them used to each other's scents. And like, look, I'm a fairly experienced cat person. My roommate is a fairly experienced cat person. Neither of us had encountered the evil villainy of Empress being introduced to Brunhild. So while the tent was being set up, the tent did not work, by the way. It was not up for very long because we quickly were like, this is not the solution. But as we were erecting said tent, you know, there's like those extendy poles. And my other roommate, who was dealing with like bending the pole and putting it all together, and it's like a bunch of little sticks and then they all stick together and they form a pole. He wasn't super paying attention to the end of the pole, and it like knocked against a shelf on the wall. At which point I gasped in surprise. I was startled because I was worried the shelf was gonna, something was gonna fall off the wall. And so I gasped, and then immediately I apologized for my gasp. And I said, I'm so sorry. Sorry I gasped. Sorry I got startled. At which point, every head in the room turned toward me and was like, why are you apologizing for being startled? At which point, I realized that it's weird if somebody gets mad at you for getting startled. So then I had to sit there and think about that because my esteemed ex-husband did not like when I got startled and in fact would shame me for it. And slowly trained me to like not be reactive at all about any emotion because he just wanted a sentient fuck Roomba. And he did not particularly care if I was startled or felt safe or was happy or anything like that. As long as he got his sentient fuck Roomba that he didn't even really fuck, if I'm being totally honest. But this isn't a podcast about that. This is a podcast about my brain and your brain vicariously. So that happened. And then I realized, oh, I'm allowed to be startled. That's cool. And since then, I have stopped apologizing for being startled. And in fact, if something does startle me, there's a loud noise, a cup falls on the floor, like, I don't know, I get startled. Sometimes loud sounds happen. And it's pretty natural to be like, what the hell was that? Natural animal reaction. That person who made the noise will apologize for startling me. And that's nice, actually. That's nice that they're like, I didn't mean to startle you. I'm sorry. That tells the nervous system there's no real threat here. It was just a noise. It's okay. They didn't mean it. Nothing bad is happening. And that hits way different than being startled by something and then being told to chill the fuck out because it's not a big deal. So I told you that story to tell you this story, which is that some nights Gwen does not want to go out right before she goes to bed. She wants to simply go in her crate. This usually happens if it is raining out or, I don't know, she's just not in the frickin' mood. And she's a corgi, so she's stubborn. And usually we do drag her out. And like if we go get the leash and collar and we're like, you need to go outside, she'll come back out of the crate. But if she's like really committed to the crate, I usually let her decide, okay, she doesn't want to go pee right now. Maybe she literally is empty and there's no pee inside her, which is a lie because she drinks water like it's her job. Not that she has one, and she's very expensive. So she will occasionally wake us up in the middle of the night. Bark, bark, bark. A nice polite little bark. Like she barks once and waits to see if anybody woke up. And then she'll bark again. Like she's honestly quite polite about it. She's not barking incessantly. It's very nice of her. Thanks, Gwen. And some nights I wake up and like my partner will still be sleeping next to me. And I'm like, well, I'm up. So I throw my robe on, I come out, I get the dog, I take her outside, blah, 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 blah. She goes back in the crate, I go back to bed, it's fine. Other nights, I don't wake up and my partner wakes up instead. And I would say it's probably 50-50. If it's not, he can let me know. But the other day I noticed that he had taken her out in the night and I was like, hey, thank you for taking her out in the night. Also, I'm so glad that sometimes I don't wake up when she barks. Like, it's just nice that I get to keep sleeping. And he goes, oh, you wake up. I was like, excuse me? And he goes, yeah, I'll hear you stop snoring. And then you pull your blanket over your head. And then I hear you start snoring again. And I'm like, oh, I don't remember this at all. I have no recollection of the fact that the dog woke me up and I chose absolutely not. I'm not doing this. And that honestly made me feel even safer because that means that he will take care of it if I don't. And I think that's why I'm able to just go back to sleep. Because there are some nights when I wake up and if he hasn't like also woken up, I go take care of it. And so I'm thinking that what may be happening is that if I wake up a little bit and I hear him already stirring, I'm going to just go back to bed because I'm like, he's got it. Awesome. Meanwhile, if she wakes me up and he's not up, then I just go deal with it. And that feels nice. It's nice to have options. It's nice to have a backup. It's nice to have a real partner who will take care of things so that I am not the default pet parent, so that I am not the only one who has to get their sleep interrupted to go deal with this dog that we own together. And that kind of reminds me of one of the final reasons, the final nails in the coffin of my marriage was the fact that we tried to get pregnant for 18 months. I don't think he was trying his hardest, pun intended. But there was a good 18-month span where we wanted to conceive a child. And toward the end of that, I was thinking, if we have a baby, I'm going to have to take care of a grown-ass man and a baby. Because I knew in this just moment of clarity that he was never going to get up in the middle of the night to help. As much as he said he would, he was like, well, I sleep like shit anyway, so I'll already be up. And I know that he never would. He would find a reason to be like, I have a meeting in the morning, so I can't tonight. Meanwhile, he also insisted that I keep a job and stay working. So he had a lot of opinions about how I would be a parent. And they were all, now my sentient fuck Roomba has given me an heir. And I was like, I can't do that for the rest of my life. That was my crystallizing question was, do I want this? If every single day of my life was just like today, would I want that the rest of my life? And it was a resounding absolutely not. And so I made a little plan and I packed my shit and I left. I left that man and I left that imaginary baby that honestly helped me realize that he was never a real partner. Bringing us back to here, I do have a real partner. I have a partner who wakes up in the middle of the night to take the dog out. That's powerful to me. That says I know, not only on a conscious level, but on an unconscious nervous system level, that I am safe and I have someone looking out for me. And bro, I don't think I've had that in a long while. And that's pretty cool. So big fan of moving on after terrible relationships and finding the person who makes you actually feel safe. And here's the difference too. He doesn't make me feel safe. I am safe with him, because it's not about telling me I'm safe or telling me that he cares or talking about the fact that we're partners. It's the actions that he takes that show me without a doubt I am safe here. Like, I am safe with this person. My feelings are safe with this person. We have talked about all sorts of things, and I'll get triggered and I'll get upset and I'll cry and have a little meltdown. And man, there was one time I was pretty burnt out. This is back when I was on Cymbalta, which, as we know, was not good for Caitlin's, and we needed dog food. And so I dragged myself out of the house to go to the pet store to buy dog food. And I came home and my roommate had already picked up a bag of dog food. And the way this manifested inside me was that I absolutely fucking snapped and lost my shit and just had a crying, sobbing meltdown. And my beloved partner did not tell me I was being insane or stupid or that this is not a big deal, because he understands I am autistic. I am in a period of burnout. I am real depressy lately. And it turns out that I just made myself go through a bunch of effort that I didn't really need to do because somebody else took care of it. And maybe that was also part of this little meltdown. The realization that I don't have to do everything myself. That was buried in there. And so I'm face down in a pillow, sobbing, and he comes in and he's like stroking my back and he's like, I know, sweetheart, I know, I'm so sorry. It's gonna be okay. Now we have 2 bags of dog food. And he just held me while my body regulated. And I'm realizing that in my past relationships, those partners were in relationship with my conscious self, like my brain, I guess, and how well I could control it. And my partner now loves me with this brain. So if he wants me, all of me, he also deals with the meltdowns and the sadness, and they're occasional. This is not a regular thing because I usually have a pretty good handle on my emotions, but man, sometimes I don't. And he has never shamed me for it. So that's our lesson today. This is going to be a little short podcast. But if you having human emotions and reactions, like getting startled when a loud noise happens, like if you are being shamed for these very normal functions of having a brain and a nervous system, if somebody's shaming you and telling you to like shut that up and get a handle on it, I don't think they have your best interests at heart. I think they have their best interests at heart, and their best interests are you don't make them deal with anything. And part of humanity is dealing with each other, right? That's community, that's love, that's relationship. We are going to inconvenience and impact each other in ways that are not always sunshine and rainbows and unicorn farts. Sometimes being in love, even platonically, right? Being in relationship with somebody means that you see every part. You see the dark parts. You see the frustrating parts. You see the parts that people hide in shame. And the more that you are able to bring those shamed things out into the light and be like, I feel shame around this, and have people be like, nobody ever should have shamed you for that. It's just a normal part of living. That part is really healing. But it does mean that you have to bring those shamey parts out and talk about them and shine a light on them and acknowledge them. That's really the only way that you're ever going to know for sure if somebody wants you for you or if they just want you to stuff everything down. And on that note, I'm going to go to work. I love you guys. Bye.
They'll change your approach and tell you a joke to lighten your load and help you along or sing you a song. Do-do-do-do-do. Do-do-do-do. Do-do-do-do-do. Do-do-do-do.